Okay. Hello, APA friends.
Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen. This is strange. I'm hearing myself way more than I'm used to hearing myself. Can we turn it down? I think it's okay to record it, but we don't really need it over the speakers. Don't you think?
Maybe you can go through the speaker.
Well, they want to record it for broadcast later. Silly, but once they hear what I have to say, they'll realize it was a waste of time. Well, again, friends, welcome. I really didn't want to give a lecture today. What I wanted to do is get us involved in some activities and discussions instead. So that's what we'll do. So I wanted to start with really two ideas. One is an idea about exploring the idea of our unity. What is the basis of our unity? And the other is talking about the nature of our souls and God's relationship to us. Two ideas, basic ideas, and I just thought we would explore these two ideas together. So to do that, what I'd like to do is defy your ability to follow me with the camera and move to the other end of the room. I'm going to ask you to come with me to that table over there. So just come up, stand up.
Are there quarters over there?
Quarters? Okay. In. Okay. Now, everybody in. Do we have everyone? Pretty much everybody? This is going to be very interesting. Take two fingers and put them like this. Two fingers, sweetie? Okay? Okay, you can use whatever you'd like. You can keep those fingers in your mouth if you'd like. That's fine. Okay. Two fingers. Now, we're not going to do the Cub Scout oath, but what do you think the odds are of lifting this table with just two fingers?
Good. Very high.
Pretty high? Okay. How about now? Do you think you can do it?
Sure.
Okay, so put two fingers under the table.
Sure.
Wait for me to instruct. Okay, now when I say, is everybody in? Come in, Kristen, come on, we need your fingers.
Don't do this.
Demonstration of unity.
Just two fingers. On the count of three, no, come in, can you come in? We need everybody. It's like the baby in the other end of the room with the thing, remember? Or last night we had to get everybody's magic.
Hey Matt, come on, we need your
Oh, we need more space over here. There's more space over here. There's more space over
You
here.
gotta put two fingers underneath the table.
Yeah, we have lots of space over here. Okay, now on the count of three, I want you to lift the table this high and don't go throwing me into the ceiling. Okay? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, now, put it down. Okay, all right. Okay. Now, you see how I risk my life for you? I give my life for you for this. Okay. All right, let's go back. Let's go back.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Want to do it again? Should we do it again? Oh, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Okay, one more time.
I know.
Tishang, you get on the other end. You sit there. No, you sit there. No, you sit there.
You want me to risk my life?
Yes, I want you to risk your life. You sit at that end, I'll sit on this end. Okay.
Wow.
Now just cross your legs. Yeah, right there, just like that. All right, two fingers, everybody in. Two fingers. Come in. Two fingers. We need more over here. Down here. Scooch down this way. Scooch. Kristen, keep coming, sweetie. There we are. Keep coming around. Come around. There we go. All right, yeah, you bet. Okay. All right, on the count of three.
Another guy.
1, 2, 3. Woo! Okay, head down. Okay, good job. Good job. I've never done it with two. It was more difficult. Yeah, it was more. Well, it was 400 pounds. 350 pounds. Okay. All right, what was your impression of that exercise? What were some of the thoughts that you had? Doubt. What were your thoughts before you lifted? Doubt. Talk about doubt. What were you thinking?
I didn't think we could do it. I didn't think it could be done.
I think he's recording. Oh, you can't hear me. Okay. Well, now that the sound's down a little bit, is it okay now?
Yeah, I hear you, but I hope I can hear her.
Aha. Okay. Lisa, again.
I didn't think we'd have the strength.
Yeah.
To lift you up.
You thought you could lift the table, but you didn't think you could lift me up. Anybody else have that sense that you weren't sure that you could lift? Okay, a little bit of a doubt. Now, when you doubted, how did you then approach the task? Did it make you more confident that you could actually do it, or did you put as much effort into the process? Some tried harder. Did any of you start a little bit slow and then increase once you saw it was right? Once you saw it was possible? Someone?
I tried harder, but I was quite willing to accept defeat.
Okay. Yeah, you thought, okay, I'll do it.
I didn't believe that we could do it.
Yeah, here's this guy, he's come a long way, you don't want to embarrass him, we'll give it a shot, but I don't think it's going to really work.
I think if you wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be able to even start testing it. We wouldn't have that courage. But when you said do it, we could trust on you because you know that it is possible.
Okay, so doubt.
It's important for me that how much we are attached in our own thoughts, which is not true. And when someone else comes to us that has more knowledge, more experience, can give us this confidence that we can do it.
Trust. Trust is so important, isn't it? It's the basis of everything. You have to trust. Somehow you put your trust in me. Silly as that might sound, but but because I've come from somewhere else and there's credentials, you think, well, okay, we'll trust this person. And so that was something that allowed you to move into your doubt, right? To move through a limitation you thought might exist. I don't know that it's possible to lift this, right? Trust was an essential ingredient, wasn't it?
I started out with the doubt, and then I got to another place before we actually did the test of being willing to allow another result to take place that went beyond the doubt and this can't be done. And so it kind of dovetails, not that you said do it, but there was a part of me that just said, well, okay, I'm gonna participate in this, and I'll be willing to accept another result other than the doubt of not being able to let it happen. Not being able to lift the table with you on it.
Yeah, excellent.
So that was great.
Krista.
Without everybody's help, we couldn't have built that table, because if everybody didn't put two fingers on the table, then we couldn't lift the table. We wouldn't be able to.
Do you think you, by yourself, do you think you could have lifted that table?
No, I'm not that strong. No, that's right. Now, let me ask you this. Once you started to lift, at what point did it become obvious that it was going to happen easily? Right away. Now, was it not just easy, but real easy?
It was really easy.
Okay.
Not when the second gentleman got it.
You numbers, though. Some people were not at the table, too.
Oh. Well, we missed a few folks. I didn't see that. So there were a few not at the table, and we doubled the weight. Okay. So so now I've never done it with two. That's the first time. Thank you. But I did the math really quickly, and there's a way to calculate that this will work. But the point is, there's a lot of different points in this. One, Kristen said it so well, that we couldn't have done it by ourselves. It required everyone's effort. In a united effort, the power was much greater than certainly any of us individually, but also much greater than any of us. It broke our limited thoughts of what was possible, didn't it? Yeah. And so the doubt was transformed into certainty, partly because we were willing to trust an authority. Okay? We act as authorities all the time. When we're with a child, we exercise authority. We ask them to invest trust in us. When we speak with each other as spouses or as community members, we're investing trust in each other, aren't we? I give John my wallet. Okay? Go ahead, John. I've given you a wallet, right? Now, what's in there? I took a lot of stuff out. Open it up. I have entrusted you. Okay, here's my license. So, and in this trust that I've given him are things of value. Okay, pull something out.
Harvard University.
Okay, it's my Harvard. So there's an intellectual license there, right?
Yeah.
Pull something else out. Well, not, there's a lot of receipts. But how about pull one of the cards out? Pull a card out. Okay, an American Express card. So there's wealth. There's wealth there. Now pull something else out. Oh, that's a you know what that is? That's a subway card for Washington D.C. You can get around with this, okay? So you can use that on the subway in Washington. What else you got? I didn't know I had some of this stuff in there.
MBTA.
So now you can use that in Boston. No, just pull something obvious out.
AAA.
AAA. You got a problem? There's some protection right there. Pull the obvious stuff out in the front of a card. A card. Yeah, driver. You can get around. You can move the transportation. The point is, and there's a Baha'i card there too, right? Now you hang on to it just for a little bit longer. I have given that to you. I have value. I don't feel, for some reason, I don't feel threatened giving it to you. I'm happily giving you something of value from me to you. Okay. What does that do when you receive that?
Shocks you.
Shocks you. Yeah. It's kind of like you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's so much wealth and bounty there, it can't be true because it's just me. Why did you give this to me? Right? I have entrusted you with gems of inestimable value. Right?
Yeah.
So it can't be real because it's given to me. And I'm nobody. So it can't be real. Right? But that's exactly what Baha'u'llah says he's done. That God has invested us, he has entrusted us with gems of inestimable value, right? And I think the first great task is to overcome a limited idea that it can't really be true for me. It's just poetry. It's just Baha'u'llah being poetic. He's saying nice things because he's really kind, but it really doesn't, it's too good to be true, right? Yeah, I think this is the first limitation we have to overcome in our thinking. That there is a limit to God's bounty in our lives, and that there's a limit to the trust that he has given us, right? So when we speak of trust, we are recognizing in someone else that gift. In one way you said it exactly right. You saw me as an authority. But in another way, when I look at you as a human being, if I see that trust in you, my whole life has changed in how I relate to you. Right? And doubts that might otherwise come over me in this day-to-day life are completely wiped away. It's how I see who I am and who you are, and what that exchange is, right? How are we doing so far? Ideas?
Good.
So, Tony, you hang on for the rest of the session. You just hang on to that, John.
Well, it's interesting that he's not comfortable holding up.
Yeah, no, that's why I want him to hold it. I want him to be uncomfortable for the rest of the session. Go ahead, Tony.
Maybe we're talking about two different things. I just first have to say this. You're amazing me with just knowing everybody's name. But anyway, having said that, you say that we feel that there is a limit to there's a limit to God's bounty.
There is not a limit.
Okay, of course. I mean, we have a problem believing this because we believe that somehow is that the same as the feeling that God's bounty has no limit, but somehow I'm not quite what I should be, or I don't quite have whatever it is to deserve it?
It's a funny thing, isn't it? There's a little there's a little twist in there, isn't there? Where it seems that once you really start to think about and experience what it means to be the recipient of this kind of bounty. Oh, hi guys. Oh, we're going to have to do the thing again because we got some. Okay. There's a disbelief, but then when it seems like this is real, then what are the attitudes that immediately spring up once we see, oh my God, this is real. There is bounty. I've been entrusted with great gifts. What's the response naturally?
What else could I do?
What else could I do? What else could I do? And
I'm not good enough.
How could this happen to me? I don't see how I'm good enough. What else, John?
I can spend it.
I can spend it. I can use this stuff. And gratitude and humility.
I think that recognizing that we're the recipients of this bounty, the first response is joyful humility and gratitude. Joy, humility, gratitude. They seem to spring naturally.
And it's less about the abundance that's in the wallet than what's in the heart.
Yeah, look what's just happened to me. Yeah.
Can I share a little story?
Please.
I was talking to a student in my classmate, and they thought I should share the story. When I was pregnant with my son, I had a high-risk pregnancy, and the doctors told me that I should terminate the pregnancy. And the whole time, they did all kinds of tests, and everything was negative. And they highly recommended that 26 weeks after they did all kinds of tests, I saw like a specialist, and they kind of talked me into doing the termination. From the time I learned that it was, not a good pregnancy, I stayed positive, and regardless of what they said, I continued to stay positive. It wasn't easy because I was having all kinds of complications, but they also told me if I kept him after he was born, he wouldn't live past 11 months. And I put my trust and confidence in God. I thought the doctors did not God. So I put my trust and confidence in Him, and everything turned out fine.
Isn't that amazing? It's a wonderful. Can I stay with that story for just a second? There's something about trust and recognizing and trusting God, where if the reality is that He's given you this wallet, or Baha'u'llah talks about gems of inestimable value. If that's true, and if you recognize that and are grateful, do you know what resonance is? Do you know the idea of resonance? Well, have you ever seen a tuning fork? Well, a tuning fork is it looks like a piece of metal with two ends like this, and if you hit it on the table or something, it'll vibrate and make a sound. Ooh, okay? And it'll make a sound like for a particular pitch. There'll be one for A or B, like all the different musical notes. That's how they tune pianos. They have a little tuning fork, and they hit it and it makes a sound, and now you know that's the note that you want to tune the piano to. Well, everything has a resonant pitch. I do, the table does, the building does, everything has a resonant pitch. So if you hit a tuning fork and put it, let's say, on a piano, and it's a C tuning fork, all the C's in the piano will resonate. They'll all make sound. The point I'm making is when we trust God, and when we trust that these gifts are real, we put ourselves in resonance with reality. And suddenly things are possible that weren't possible before, because we are in line with the truth. We're in line with reality. And this wonderful story about you having trust in God seems to have produced a miraculous physical event, didn't it?
And it wasn't just me. I had really good support and positive support. So, regardless of what I think during the whole process, I met a lot of people who had similar stories, who inspired me, and so I used all that as something positive. And
that's wonderful.
So I didn't really care, after when they said we need to do this test, whatever. I don't even want to know the results.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
So your spiritual faith and trust was a way that you freed others from their doubt, so they could lend their spiritual energy and resonate with reality and with your faith, increasing the power of the event. It's interesting.
When I became a Baha'i, my brother taught me a verse. He said, be patient under all conditions, and put your trust and confidence only in God. And I did that. The other one he taught me was, as thee have faith, so shall your power and blessings be. And those were my two.
So you should be giving this this as a class this morning. But I want to build on this again, and I swear I didn't ask her to say these things, but it's right in line with what I wanted to go. That if this is true for one of us, how much more is it true when we work together in unity, right? What is possible, that what we're capable of bringing into the world, right? But it's only possible if we know who we are, right? we overcome doubt, and we trust. Is it right? So, right, isn't that great? Okay, now let's bring the kids up to date. You guys want to do something with me? If we live through it? Was that what you said, Martine?
They said something about lifting you.
Yeah, come here. Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah, is that why you said it? If we live through it?
Something about lifting you.
No, you know. Tell you what. You just come over here with me by this table. I'm just gonna catch the kids up real fast on what.
All the kids.
Just on one hand. What are the odds of you guys lifting this table with 2 fingers?
We can do it.
Think you can do it?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay, you get on the table. What's your name?
Kevin.
Kevin? You're the man. You're on the table.
Me and Paige will get on
Okay, in the middle. Okay, now what do you think? You think you can lift the table now?
Yeah.
All right, just with one hand. I'm not saying 2, I'm saying one hand. Can you lift this table with one hand with 2 fingers? Sure. With Kevin on it? Okay. No, you got it over here. No, come over. No, over on the side. We got to even it out a little bit. You guys come over here. There we go. Or you can be right there on the end. All right, now on the count of 3, I want you to lift Kevin and this table up with 2 fingers with one hand that high. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Okay, put him down. Okay. Good job, guys. No, okay, we can do that later. We can try to. Okay.
You have a very strong junior youth group.
Yeah, the strong youth group. Okay, what did you guys think? Did you guys think you could do it? Did you guys think you could do that before you did it?
Yeah.
Were you a little bit, not that, you're a little bit of doubt, maybe, I'm not sure? No doubt. No doubt. How about anybody, how about Kevin? Did you think they could lift you?
Probably.
Probably. That means maybe not, maybe yes, huh? Okay, did you think that, was it easier than you guys thought? It was easier. Why do you think it was easier? Teamwork. Yeah. What else, Martine? You going to say something?
No.
No? What do you guys think? Were you guys in on that?
I was there.
Yeah. What did you guys think?
Pretty easy.
Was it easier than you thought it was going to be?
Yeah.
That's kind of the point of this, is that when we work together, there's way more power than we think is available, right? And that's what I wanted to talk about, the power of unity, right? That first of all, we need demonstrations of unity to really value it, all right? If we talk about unity but haven't experienced it, we still kind of have doubt, don't we? And we don't entirely trust it. And so we're talking about it, but we're not really tapping into its power. Does that make sense? So the point is, we need to create in our community life as many experiences of unity as possible so we trust it. And so the doubt doesn't hinder us. And so we can bring out those gems of inestimable value that are there, not only in ourselves, but that operate when we work together. Right?
I think he's getting pretty comfortable now.
John, yeah, he's getting, and he's got this smile like, oh man, maybe he's going to forget. so, no, I trust John. See, that's the other thing, is that's why I can do that easily, is because I met this young man last night. He's going to be one of the stars of his generation. So it's no problem for me to give him that and the keys to my car. So, of course, it's not here, but so. So,
I have a question.
Kristen, what is it?
We're talking about a pitchfork and how
A tuning fork.
and how other things have pitches.
Yes.
Is like pitch waves all around the world or what?
Well, that's such a good question.
Because like, how can the floor have?
Well, here, when you hit the floor, it makes a sound, and that sound is called a pitch. When I hit Dave's shoe, it's got a sound. It's called a pitch. Hit the table, that's called hit my head. Everything's got a sound, and they call that a pitch. And so the pitch fork is just something that makes that same sound.
Oh, okay.
So what I'd like to do, we have how much time?
20.
Okay. 45 minutes, so that's just enough time. What I'd like to do, again, I want to explore the nature of our unity, and I left my glasses back there. So I'm going to keep talking while I explain this. You know, we talk about unity, and the more we experience unity, the more we value it, right? So it seems to me we need to explore the depths of unity, find as many ways of experiencing it and relishing it as possible. The more we do that, the more doubt diminishes, the more confidence rises, the more we trust, and the more we can act, right? The more we're free from our senses of limitations. So what we're going to do next is explore one of the features of our unity, one of the things that makes us united.
Before we go to that point, the other half of this subject is that when you trust, you're now given the ability to be trusted the more. So it's fruit on fruit. You trust in God in one way, you open the way for Him to look at your capacity and trust you more with heavier responsibility. And it's a progressively building process.
Yes.
So it goes on. This is beautiful in a way that once you establish the first stage of unity, you take advantage of it, you're now creating an opportunity to rise to the next level.
Yeah. A friend of mine says you should have your mind blown at least once a week. and what he's basically saying is you should have an experience in which you move past your sense of limitations of trust or love or unity, so that new worlds, new possibilities open. You can be given more responsibility, more.
And in line with that, Baha'u'llah said, "To whom much is given, much is expected."
Much is expected.
So
much is required.
Once you're entrusted with something, you're now expected to behave along those lines.
To do something with it.
Much more along that would be expected from you to radiate out.
Excellent. Thank you for saying that. That there comes with this, and you know what? If you really acknowledge, if you're able to see with your own eyes these gems of inestimable value, you don't have to be told that you have a responsibility. You know it. It comes it springs naturally from your heart. Gratitude and humility and love, recognizing how can I possibly pay this gift back, you're compelled to motion, and the motion expresses itself in service, because it's the only way we can express our gratitude, right, in service to each other. So service isn't an obligation. Service is the natural expression of our heart's exuberance when we recognize the trust of God within us, and we're grateful for it, right? So you see how that's a different level of talking about the faith than just talking about the principles we believe in? And I think Abdu'l-Baha's calling us to that. Baha'u'llah's calling us to that deeper and richer experience of these rich gems that are in all of us. So there's one hidden word I thought we would reflect on and then move into a little exercise. O Son of Man, this is the fourth of the Arabic hidden words. O Son of Man, I loved thy creation. Hence I created thee. It was out of love. Wherefore, do thou love me, that I may name thy name and fill thy soul with the spirit of life. Okay? Naming thy name. That got me thinking about an exercise we do in this non-for-profit that I have called the Unity Project, where we do an exercise with names. And I'd like us to go around the room, and I'd like you to mention your name, and if you know what the meaning of your name is, I'd like you just to say in a sentence the meaning of your name. And we'll go around the room, give everybody a chance to say that. And when you say it as if you being the recipient of that name, you are now speaking a name that God has named for you. He is, when I name you, I'm making a connection with you. This is if it's God doing the naming, He possesses you. He is intimately involved in your life. He's involved in your creation. He's involved in naming all that is good about you. He's deposited it there. So when I name your name, I'm saying to you, I have a covenant with you. I have a bond with you that is not breakable. No matter what you think, no matter how much doubt you have, or no matter how much you think it's impossible, we have a covenant with each other that is unbreakable, right? So when I name your name, that's what I'm doing. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask us to go around the room, mention your name, and mention it with a sense of, oh my God, this is who I am. I have been named. Okay?
Can I ask you a question, John?
Yeah.
Is it what our parents told us our name was, why they gave us our name, or?
Just say as much. We're going to do that next.
Okay.
Say your name and what you understand it to mean. Okay, and we'll just go around the room. Come on, you want to start?
Michael is my name, and I really don't know what I understand it to be. It's just it's a Gaelic name.
Michael is one of the archangels.
Well, that I know.
One of the, yeah.
That's what. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
He's the archangel that God speaks to all the other archangels. He's the supreme archangel.
Well, that's what my parents named
Yeah.
me.
Well, I will give her name. This is Natalia, and Natalia has several meanings, but I think the one that I saw was festival or festivity.
Mm-hmm. And your name?
I'm Susan in Persian, which means flower.
Flower.
My name is Lisa, and it means gifted.
Gifted.
My name is Benita. I have no idea.
Benita.
I have no idea.
Don't know what it means. Okay. Right. That's okay, because the next exercise will do something with that.
My name is Jaleh, which
Jaleh.
means dew. Dew.
Dew, like on the flowers. Huh.
Gilbert.
And it means.
It's actually Gilbert. They call
Gilbert.
it Gilbert.
So Gilbert, and it means.
It's one of the older French kings, so it's just the name.
Okay. It's a name of a king.
Brian. I'm not sure
Brian?
what it means. But my mom named me after the movie Brian song.
Uh-huh.
Brian Bigelow.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess it meant a lot to her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Brian Piccolo, yeah, at the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Irene, I don't know.
Irene, okay. Uh-huh.
I don't know the name.
Okay, that's okay.
My name is Sohela, and I don't know.
Sohela? Uh-huh. Okay, that's okay.
Christine.
Christine? It's the of Christ. Yeah. Mhm.
Elia, and I have no idea.
My name is Hushain, and it means a person with the extra sixth sense.
Ah, like an intuitive kind of interesting.
Beverly.
And?
What it means?
Mhm.
Lost. No, I think it is rolling hills or something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Something like
Beverly. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Farhad.
Farnad.
Farhad.
Farhad.
Yeah, just a name.
And what does Farhad mean?
Just a name.
It means just a name. Okay.
It was actually the name of a, I mean, Farhad and Shirin.
Yeah.
Name of a, it's the two lovers.
Romeo and Juliet.
Uh-huh. Okay. Obvious. It just comes off of you. It's just it's super.
I am Juliet. He is Juliet, but we call me Giti. The meaning of Giti is war. War.
Word. Okay.
War. W-O-R. Word.
World. Ah, okay. Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Matthew.
Matthew.
Gift of God.
Gift of God.
CJ.
What's the C stand for? And what's the J stand for? So Chad. What does Chad mean? Do you know? Chet. Do you know what that means? Okay. Alrighty. All right. Probably a meaning for your name if you go way back. And your name?
Stephanie, and I have no idea what it means.
So okay. Alrighty.
Adib.
Adib.
Supposedly, I've been told that means knowledge.
Knowledge. Okay. Knowledge. Wonderful.
Ian, and I really don't know what it means.
Ian's is a version of John, which means God's gracious gift.
Patricia, and I don't know what it
It means king.
King's Patricia.
Mm-hmm. Or royal, yeah.
Kamran means successful.
Successful. Come
My name is Ophelia. I know that it's from Shakespeare, but I don't know what it means.
Ophelia. Is that the wife of King Lear? Yeah. See, okay.
Ophelia was the beloved of Hamlet.
Hamlet. Thank you. Thank you.
From Shakespeare. My name is Haik.
Haik.
And Haik can
have a meaning of going hiking. But also there was an Armenian leader. His name was Haik, historically. So my father loves history, and he named me after him.
Aha, okay, very good.
I'm John, and it is a family name, so it went from both sides of my family.
Okay, and it means God's gracious gift. Yeah.
I'm Kristen, I do not know what my name means.
Means of Christ.
But isn't it like a French name, kind of?
Well, Kristen is a version. Yeah, there's Christiane, Christina. All of those are kind of the same thing. Come from, so you're named after Christ. David?
And I'm David. In the Bible, David and Goliath. So overcoming doubt comes to mind. David, the king. David and Bathsheba. I like that story.
But the name itself, do you know the?
I don't know why the word beloved comes up. I'm not sure if that's
might be wonderful.
Part of but I feel that in me.
Excellent. We're going to use that in the next section.
Susan, and I did look it up a couple of times, and specifically a flower.
A flower.
Lily.
Lily.
And I thought lily was nice. I thought maybe I'd change it.
Actually, in Persian, it means the thorn as well.
Ah, you get the thorn and the flower.
Could be.
Yeah. It's always that way. It could be right, depending on the day.
Sogan.
Sogan?
It means oath.
Oath.
Yes. Assam.
Okay.
No. Sogan. O-A-T-H.
Okay. And your name?
Mommy, your name.
What is your mother's name? What is your
My
name?
name is Simin.
And it means?
It means silver is no red.
Silver.
In English.
Beautiful.
No, silver.
Very, thank you.
My name is Sophie. It means dawn in the morning.
Dawn. Beautiful.
Anthony, I don't remember what it means. Safe to know, but I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm Arash, and there was an Arash, and he was a Persian hero.
So a very heroic name.
Hezron, and it means rejoiceful being.
A rejoiceful being, or is that what you said? A rejoicing being, or joyful being?
Joyful being.
Joyful being. Wonderful.
Jamshid is a Zoroastrian name for the name of a king who brought the Nowruz celebration.
Oh.
My name is Mateen, and I think it means humble.
Humble. Okay. Very good. Thanks, Mateen.
My name's Kevin, and I think it's Celtic. I'm not sure.
I think it is Celtic. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what it means? Okay.
My name's Connor, and I don't know what it means.
Okay. Anybody would like to know what their names mean? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. Jeremiah, what's your name?
I'm Jeremiah. I don't know what it means.
Okay.
I just know it's
Prophet.
named after the Welling prophet.
He's the fire and brimstone prophet of the Old Testament. Didn't mess around with Jeremiah. Well, it's interesting. We live in a culture where all of these names are invested with meaning and have tremendous history, right? Certainly in your families, but also in the culture. And I think it's a sign of the times we live in that sometimes we don't know the meaning of our own name. And all of us, I think, have this experience of not really knowing who we are, right? And having to find out who we are. And I'd invite you to begin that process of finding out by finding out a bit more about your name. Because it's one of the reflections of who you are. Something about the gems of divine, inestimable value that you have within you, right? What I'd like to do now is I'd like to use that little discussion we just had, and I'd like to expand on it a little bit. So what I'd like us to do is break up into little groups of, I don't know, you guys could just fold in here, Gilbert and Brian, is it Brian? If you want to fold in, you guys can be a group, you guys can be a group, and you guys may be two groups. Okay, so make a little circle. There we go, Kristen. Okay, yeah, actually, let's keep this, we'll make the groups, let's make them no more than 5, and really kind of get close. Okay, 6. Okay, push in. Try, if you can, make it a group of 5. Junior youth is all together, that's great. All right, here, and let's see, let's do this. It's more than 6. How about 2 of you, and then would you come? I'm going to pull you away, and we're going to make it might be a little healthier if we have a little bit smaller groups. There we go. Great. So you guys can actually be a group of 3, if you don't mind. If anybody else wants to join them, that's fine. Actually, you have 6. Yeah, Romeo, why don't you? Okay. Okay, good. So now, friends, here's what I'd like you to do now. No, I know it was, but it increases the tension. It'll be much better later. So, what I'd like to do now is ask you to now talk about your name again, but this time if you don't know the meaning of your name, that's fine. But talk about the person who gave it to you, all right? And talk about something about that person that you love, all right?
Okay.
And, all right, and as the rest of you are listening, I'd like you to look at the qualities of that person that they might not even be recognizing in themselves as they talk about the person that they love. So if you see their kindness or their sweetness or their devotion or whatever it might be, make a mental note, okay? And when the person's through talking, and only talk for like a minute or so because we don't have a lot of time. So really try to keep it short. But the rest of you then feed back to that person what you saw in them, right? Does that make sense? So we'll then go, okay? Does it make sense, Lisa? Now this isn't their typical Baha'i class, I don't think, but it's an important exercise. So what are we doing? We're losing people. Okay, so go ahead and begin. And talk about, if you don't know about well, let's do this. Talk about the person who gave you your name and talk about something you love about them. Okay? And then try to do it in just a few sentences.
Okay. Ready?
And what I liked about him is he was kind of hard.
Now, you know, friends, when the Babis were at the conference of Badasht, this conference that Baha'u'llah convened with the early followers of the Bab, they were all given a new name, right? They had a name that they were born with, but what happened was through Baha'u'llah, really, the Bab assigned new names to everyone, right? And these were the names that really spoke of their inner reality, right? And many of the early believers will find that they have 2 names. It's the name they were born with, which may be something they like or maybe something they don't like. It might just be an accident. But then there's this other name, Baha'u'llah himself, right? Mirza Hussein Ali, Baha'u'llah, right? Jesus of Nazareth, the Christ, right? So each of us has or represents qualities of God. And the purpose of this exercise was for you to hear in the words of other people the qualities of God that they see in you. That was the purpose of this exercise. So that you would hear with your own ears someone else give voice to the gems of inestimable value that you possess. Because if you don't believe you have them, you won't value them, right? So you need to cherish these as your very sight and life, Baha'u'llah says, right? Cherish it like your sight and your very life, these qualities. Does that make sense? This is the trust of God within you, right? So how much of our language, how much of our talk with each other is in recognition of the divine we see in each other, right? And I would suggest that that is a powerful source of unity, to give voice to that, right? To use our lips to make it a point to utter the words of recognition, right? I asked a friend of mine who's a very famous psychologist at Harvard. He's an atheist, but he's a wonderful man. I asked him, he's a brilliant man. I asked him, what do you think is what motivates people? What are people really after? And he said, well, I think people basically want their virtues recognized. He said that. And that was a brilliant thing. And I think it's true. If you want to transform any situation, okay, you might not know where to go or how to change the situation, but begin by recognizing the virtue of the person you're in conflict with. Start there. And the whole conversation will change. It'll take a different tone. Right? If you can discipline yourself to recognize the virtue in another person, practice on the easy situations when someone does an easy courtesy for you. Practice there. And then keep practicing in harder and harder situations when the person is disagreeable, or when they're saying something you don't agree with or you find offensive. Try it then. And keep practicing getting better and better at it with more and more sincerity. And it can be one of the most powerful spiritual disciplines that you can have in your life.
Both
right?
Jesus and Abdu'l-Baha talk about that very thing.
Yes.
Specifically.
Yes.
Jesus gives the example of the whiteness of the teeth in that dog.
Yeah.
And Abdu'l-Baha says that if a person has got 99 faults and one good attribute, talk about that one.
Talk about that one attribute.
Certain similarities.
Yeah.
Also, the name that we all have comes from the kingdom of names.
Yeah.
So how are we talking about the kingdom of names?
The kingdom of names, yeah. Can I ask you, what did you think about that exercise? How did it feel to talk about each other's strengths? Christian?
I felt that it was a good idea because, I mean, everybody doesn't know really the history of their name, but they know that's their name.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name that they were born with.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it was a very good exercise.
Oh, thanks, Christine. Thank you. Hushan?
I felt a cultural barrier.
Cultural barrier.
Cultural barrier. You know, I have been in the U.S. for 32 years. I've been here for a long time, so I can see both sides.
Uh-huh.
And there's some wonderful ladies in here that are gems. But I can relate to them because of the way we were raised. To be more reserved, to really don't be open. While our American friends in the different world are open, they discuss and describe who you are very openly. And one looking at the other really did not pick up on that. In other words, the American friends that's sitting here basically, in my opinion, totally misunderstood. You know, however, the misunderstanding was simply a cultural barrier. So I think that's really important for us to get over. And we talked about basically taking that wall down and building a bridge and communicating.
Excellent.
Without one assuming that because the other person is more reserved, it means they're sad.
Wonderful. Hushan, this is such an important point. We stylize our virtues in cultures. We give them sort of traditional form, right? And in many of the older cultures in the world, the Asian cultures in particular, virtue has been put into a form that everybody recognizes. Modesty, the appropriate expression of humility and boundaries, so that you acknowledge, in a way it's acknowledging your place without being arrogant. So, and it's been stylized in certain ways of presenting yourself that to a Western eye can look cold, but it's, as you said, completely missing the point. What may look cold is actually a beautiful expression of humility. You know? And like any culture, the form can become the thing that becomes the we can miss the heart of what the form is for. In the West, we stylize a kind of a blatant exposure of ourselves, right? And it's an attempt to be honest. And the downside of it is it can be inappropriate. It can exceed boundaries. Flip the other side, the more reserved presentation of the self can stifle creativity. So both have their positives and their virtues, and both have their limitations. But if we need to develop the eye of looking for the virtue in the presentation. That's the whole point. And look past the presentation to the heart that motivates it. It's very hard to find a badly motivated person, right? There really aren't that many really badly motivated people. Most people are really well motivated, and they have a particular form of expressing their motivations that are successful to one degree or another. But the whole purpose of this is to get to the basics. The basics of the faith are the things that will, it's like basketball. If you coach basketball, practice the fundamentals, dribbling, guarding the lane, practice the basics. The basics in being a Baha'i, I think, absolutely require developing the eye to see the divine gems in each other, the gems of divine virtue, cultivating it, because it's not easy. There's all sorts of trappings that prevent us from seeing it, right? And then giving voice to it. And that second part is extremely important, voicing our appreciation for the divine in each other, right? And working on becoming more and more sincere in doing that, and saying it from deeper levels of appreciation and gratitude, and not just being superficially polite. If we do that, that will be a power that will fuel the rest of our activities. It will make Feast a joyful event. It will make our devotional exercises and our core activities vibrant, right? It will make our experience nurturing and supportive. We must increase the number of supports that we receive that nurture the divine within us, not just our heads. And we must be that for each other. So that's really the point of what I wanted to get at today. Now, we're coming up on time. Do people have some comments? We covered a lot in kind of a compressed time. Gilbert.
What I saw was quite interesting. One of the attributes of sacrifice that Abdul Baha talks regarding Jesus' sacrifice was the seed sacrifices himself to create the tree. And within our group, I saw that we picked up attributes of the person that we love. So the seed that sacrificed herself to produce us, we actually gain the attributes and carrying basically the torch of those positive attributes, which is quite interesting that there was no limitation in terms of creating the ever-advancing civilization, because you only take the positive, not the negative one, which was quite interesting in terms of meaning of sacrifice, which was the person sacrifices their own well-being to teach somebody else or transport this information and civilization to the next generation. And this was coming out very clear across all individuals.
So are you saying when people expressed their appreciation for someone they loved who gave the name, that you saw that same quality in the person?
Right, they actually practiced those positive qualities, which was quite interesting.
So they were being what the thing that they loved in the person who gave them the name.
Right, so
that's
the
great.
Whole issue of negativism doesn't exist, doesn't last. Only the positive moves forward.
Isn't that wonderful? Yeah.